New England IPA, grain to glass. Let's do it. Didn't need to do that yet. New England IPA, or NEIPA, is a style originally from Vermont, a small state in New England, northeastern USA. It has been the popular style for a few years now, cloudy, smooth and fruity, with a refined bitterness. I reckon 2011 was when we seen the first true NEIPA, but it wasn't until somewhere around 2015 that BJCP seen it as a standalone style. Legend has it that the style began some 18 years ago with Hetty Topper from Alchemist Brewery, where they experimented with an IPA recipe, deciding not to filter nor to pasteurise the beer, which are both common methods in commercial brewing to extend a beer's shelf life. This resulted in a thicker IPA, and customers started to recognise it for its distinct taste and aesthetic appearance, which was unusually murky, almost like an orange juice, hence its nickname, the Hazy IPA. The style remained modestly popular as an East Coast specialty until it suddenly exploded into the beer scene, taking the West Coast by storm in what is known as the haze craze. The haziness in NEIPAs is caused by a variety of techniques that brewers say are primarily aimed at enhancing aromas and creating a smooth, creamy mouthfeel, whilst also reducing the harsh bitterness associated with more conventional IPAs. This includes using certain yeast strains that leave fruity esters in the beer, as well as suspended matter which help produce the haze. So that's the end of a very tedious mash in, very precarious. It's right at the very top here, it's draining down a little bit, but I think I'm really pushing the system to its absolute limit. So I made a couple of changes on the fly. I'm going to mash at 69 rather than 68. It shouldn't make a huge amount of difference, but just it says on the cover here 69 for higher. Full bodied. The other thing is we don't have Ashbeck water in Northern Ireland. We have a locally sourced Tesco water. Mine's in premium Tesco spring water. So I put the details of it into Brewfather and changed the water chemistry, and all I had to add was 6.5 grams of calcium chloride. So in terms of dipping my toes into water chemistry for the first time, it was sadly underwhelming. So that's basically it. We have the full grain bill in here. I've removed one of the key features of the Brewzilla for this brew, and that's the centre pipe. I don't think you can see from there, but I have the brew in the bag, a grain basket wrapped in a brew in a bag as well, just to help keep the grain out of the wort at the bottom, liquor, whatever it is at this stage. So yeah, so far so good. It's times like this, I wish I had a big whisk, a la Big Banana. That was a long ass sparge, nearly an arm sparge as well. It wasn't stuck as such, it was just very, very low still. I ended up just having to take the bag out and squeeze and get as much out that way. Go for it. So we're now looking at 20 past 10. It's on. Current temperature is 97, so we're approaching a boil. You see the foam starting to gather at the top for hot break. So what makes a NEIPA? Well, although the Hazy IPA moniker has been around, and it's true, you can usually tell it's a NEIPA just by looking at it. The wow moment usually comes when you nose the beer. You're greeted with a full-bodied wall of rich aromatics. The aromatics vary from brew to brew, but are primarily fruity or tropical in character. NEIPAs have a mostly muted malt character, with most flavour coming from the hops and the high esters of the yeast. The flavour is hop heavy and focused on the fruitier spectrum of hops. It is accentuated by yeast esters that produce sweet undernotes. The hop varieties used are commonly associated with ripe or overripe tropical fruits such as passion fruit, guava, papaya, mango and pineapple. So world pole edition, 75 Sabro, 65 Nelson Sauvin and 60 Citra. So we changed some things up on the hop. Get it? On the hop. I'm pretty time constrained today, and with the stuff in sparge, I just run over my time. So what I've done is reduce the boil time to 30 minutes rather than 60, based on the fact that there's no hop additions, no additions to the beer at this stage anyway. So it's not going to detrimentally affect the beer. I'm currently sitting 25 litres in the kettle, which is about right, and we're at an 80 degrees hop stand for 20. So while I'm waiting on the starter to boil, that's the yeast I've got. Sanders liquid yeast patch from WHC. Where it differs from other styles of IPA is the bitter flavours are often secondary, buried within the mix. While other IPA sub-styles pride themselves on their big bitter notes, NEIPA is a more moderately bittered beer, usually sitting between 40 to 60 IBUs. Due to the inclusion of flake malts and water chemistry, NEIPAs come across as soft and silky with a chewy full body. It finishes refreshingly and with a lingering fruity sweetness that keeps the mouth quenched. Important to learn from other people's mistakes. That's how you take your stir bar. Well, what about that then? What about that? Oh, I can smell it from here. What a lovely colour. What are we calling that? The pale straw colour. Murky, opaque, hazy. Wow. Oh, what are we getting on the nose? Getting some like nice passion fruit, tropical kind of flavours. I'm getting a bit of, was there Citra in this? I can't remember. A little bit of citrus fruit coming through, not so heavy. I'll tell you what I'm not getting. I'm not getting any of that coconut that you normally get, or I normally get anyway with Sabro. But it smells very inviting. Let's go. It's a little cold. We've got medium to thick bodied, a nice kind of creamy body to it, a nice kind of refreshing coat and mouth. Again, I'm getting sort of a slightly spicy note to it. What are we getting? Slight hint of maybe gooseberry. Yeah, slight hint of gooseberry. And whilst you don't taste the coconut from the Sabro, you are getting sort of the tropical fruits from it. And you are getting like, it's going to be very hard to describe, but it's kind of like the mouthfeel of coconut, like creamy, you know, like you get a coconut, you get the coconut out of it, and you chew it for a bit, you get that creamy texture on your mouth. Just a nice level of carbonation, not too bad. Kind of dies off. You see there the head's dropped off already. No, that's a good beer. Surprisingly easy to make. I was expecting all sorts of disasters. I was expecting to have to do this maybe 2 or 3 times to get the result that I've got. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's a nice beer. What have we got? We've got there is just a hint of bitterness on the very tail end, which you know will suit me down to the ground. Probably slightly off style. I could probably balance that out a bit better with slightly different technique or whatever. It reminds me a bit of the Hazy Jane by Brewdog, which just has that slight bitterness, which is just not quite what I would expect from a NEIPA. I wonder, you know, some beers are meant to be drunk cold and some beers are meant to be drunk slightly warmer. I wonder what that would be like, just slightly warmer than what it is now. Probably be fizzy as hell for a start, we get a massive head, but just the perfect amount of carbonation. Now that keg has been in there for about a week, so we're probably talking, what, 3 weeks from start to finish, 4 weeks from start to finish. So it's probably, you know, we were meant to drink these NEIPAs quite young, so it's probably round about where it's meant to be. I'll be interested to keep this going, sort of a pint every week or so, to see if we've been oxidized. There's one part of the technique where I dry hopped, which I couldn't do oxygen free. I broke my underneath bit of the Brewzilla, or the Fermentzilla, whatever they called it. You know what it is, you've seen it. So yeah, really, really good. Really enjoyed that. Cheers. So there we go, that's the first NEIPA I ever made in the bag. or in the glass, I suppose. Yeah, really liked it. So what do I think about the overall experience? Honestly, slightly underwhelming in the water chemistry side. You see people talking, oh, I add 2 parts of this and 3 parts of that, and I make my chloride 69 parts per million, blah, 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 blah. So it's quite daunting when you're on the outside and you're reading things like that on forums, on Facebook, you're seeing it on YouTube videos. And all these people know about the chemistry and you don't really know, and there's nowhere really easy to read about it. So what I did, as you've seen, I bought a bag of each of the main water additives, so your gypsum, whatever else, magnesium, is that one? I don't know, magnesium explodes, doesn't it? I don't know, whatever. So I bought a package of each of those, and I used the software in Brewfather. So put your water profile in, click what profile you want, and it tells you what to add. It's a gift. I reckon on a couple of brews in, you'll start to understand what you add to get certain different profiles. No, not profiles, but like compounds in your water. So you're making slight adjustments. I guess it's a bit like what do you call it when you start doing all grain. Okay, so your first couple of recipes, your first couple of brew days are straight out of the Bible. They're straight out of a brew dog. What's it called? Home dog or something like that. Then you get a wee bit more confident, a wee bit cocky, and you're like, well, don't like that hop, take that out, put this hop in. Oh, don't have that grain, but I have this, it's similar. And you start tweaking your recipes. Then before you know it, you're doing it. You're designing your own recipe. And I think water chemistry is going to be something similar to that for me. So in terms of the beer, I mean, I really like it. It's a style that I'm not overly enthusiastic about generally. So for me to make something that's so close, that I feel is a good representative anyway of the style early doors, to me that's probably enough. There are a couple of things about this beer that I don't like, and first off is the cost. All right, so this was by far the most expensive beer I've ever made. Now, I understand there's a war in Ukraine and that's driving the price of grain up. There's Brexit, there's inflation, there's rising interest rates, there's gas crisis. I understand all that, and I understand that beers are more expensive now than they were last year, 2 years ago. I get that, but even with all that into account, the cost of this beer was so much more than what I was expecting. That's basically a one-off for me. I'm not going to be a regular NEIPA maker. You know, you can get a similar mouthfeel. I feel that you can get a similar mouthfeel anyway by adding lactose to an IPA. I feel you can get similar hop bombs when you nose it, or when you take a sip. And I have to demonstrate that in case you didn't know what taking a sip meant. But anyway, taking a sip, you can get similar hop bombs by just really dry hopping your pale ale recipes, your IPA recipes, and I can get a higher level of bitterness from what I actually like. But you just going down the like double IPA route or front hop in it, you know, and none of these styles that I'm talking about now seem to cost as much as this NEIPA did. I don't know whether it was the yeast, whether it was the complicated grain bill, or what it was. We also have to factor in that I did buy water. Now, it was Tesco's own brand water, so it was reasonably cheap. But it all adds up. You know, you start adding things on. You're on for liquid yeast instead of dry yeast, and a complicated grain bill. Heavier grain bill than I normally do as well. So just the cost was a wee bit off for me. And the second thing is the waste. I had to use several single-use plastic bottles for the water. And as a one-off, that felt quite bad. So there can be no way that I can continue doing that. You know, there were 2 litre bottles and you're looking, what, 26, 30 litres, something like that. It's not good. Now, it was my first time doing water chemistry, so it was important that I knew exactly what was in the water. So buying mineral water from Tesco's, from Asda, from Lidl, wherever you want to go, is good for that because it's all written down the back, parts per million milligrams or micrograms or whatever it was, and that's important. And perhaps if Tesco were to do 5 litre bottles of that particular brand of water, I might sleep a wee bit easier. But in this day and age, I think we all have a responsibility to reduce individual use of single-use plastics. And so therefore it's just not sustainable for me, if that makes sense. Now, I do want to continue with this dipping my toes into water chemistry, excuse the pun. I do want to continue with that. And with that in mind, today I have bought off Amazon a reverse osmosis water filter. Reverse, is that right? Reverse osmosis water. It's not very easy to say, but an RO system basically. Now, I know there's pros and cons to that as well, not least the so-called wasted water. But I feel like I can use that around the garden. I can use it for washing shit out. I can use it for cleaning the shower in the house, you know. So it's not wasted as such. I think when you compare the two evils between wasting a bit of water through an RO system or generating a shit ton of single-use plastic, I think the RO system wins. What do you guys reckon? Leave me a comment down below. Do you think I'm going down the right route? Do you think I'm doing something wrong? I don't know. So yeah, so look forward to the unboxing and setting up video of the RO water, which will come pretty much as soon as it arrives. I've ordered a few other bits and pieces so that I can do stuff with my tap to get all that up and running in one go. So what's next in terms of brewing? Well, I'm going to revisit one of my self-designed recipes, one of my favourites that I've done over the years, and that's the full Ulster. Now the full Ulster, if you think back, there's 2 videos of it. Sorry, just give you the fingers. There's 2 videos of it because it was like an hour and a half long or something like that. Ridiculous. It was one of the first brews I did using the Brewzilla when I got it, and I felt that I had to video every minute of the brew. Absolutely ridiculous. But if you go back and watch them, if you're feeling like you want to do an endurance test, you'll remember or you'll know that I've done that, and it was somewhere in the region of 120 IBUs. Off the charts bitterness. We're talking high end of double IPA stuff here. It was fantastic. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. But it was a clone beer. It was meant to be full Irish by 8 degrees, and theirs is around 60 IBUs. So I'm going to rein it back in. I'm going to do it. I'm going to redesign the recipe with 60 IBUs. Keep everything else the same. There's stuff I'm thinking about already, but that's for the video for it. So yeah, watch out for that one. So that's 2 videos in the next coming weeks to watch out for. It's probably a good time to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and you know what, if you're excited about the 2 videos coming up, hit the wee bell. You'll get a notification for when they arrive. But apart from that, that's really grain to glass for New England IPA. As I said, I probably won't make many of these over the years. Maybe 1 or 2 a year, 1 every 2 years, something like that. But it's a hell of a good beer, I have to admit. Cheers. Did I just make a New England IPA?